Advaita says you're 5'8". No, that's incorrect. I'm 6. I hope. Ahana asks, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? No sappy answers. Okay, Ahana, here's a sappy answer for you. Greetings and welcome back to the channel. We are finally back. It's been about 3 weeks. I missed you. I missed all of you. And we have like a new little addition to our set. This is the Blue Yeti mic. I think it should make my voice sound pretty cool. I'm really sorry if I gave you some unintended ASMR, but I'm really excited. I spent my first YouTube paycheck on this. Like, I haven't bought anything with my YouTube money as such, so I would like to say this is my first investment into proper equipment. This entire video is all about answering your assumptions about me, or just like a question and answer style in specific. I was supposed to do like a Q&A after 10,000 subscribers, and then after 20, and then after 30, and I forgot it every single interval. So I was just like, 39,000 subscribers, obviously it's a special event. Like, let's have a question and answer session where I answer everything that you have to throw at me. So I asked tons of stuff on my Instagram, I put it up there, and you guys had a lot to say. So let's just head straight into it. Okay, first one's first. Archie Tans says, you are that friend that everybody asks advice from. Give me a second on that. Yeah, listen, would you ask advice from me if you needed it? No? Okay, cool. Yeah. Archie, I think nobody cares for my advice in my friend circle. They're always dragging me down. Like, they're the people who keep me like close to reality. So if I do need something, I'd like to say some of them would ask for advice, but not the person I just called up. Nidhi says, you're a nice person. Thank you, Nidhi. I would hope so. Advaita says you're 5'8". No, that's incorrect. I'm 6. I hope. My younger brother measured me once and apparently I'm like 5'11.7, but we're just going to call that 6 between you and me. 5'11.7, just rounding it up. Preksha asks, what is one thing that you would like to change about your college application? Now, that is a really good question, and I don't think you're going to like my answer to this, but I don't think I would change anything about my college application. And I don't mean that because I think my college application was perfect. I just mean that because, if I change something about it, Stanford might not have accepted that application. So my current application is the one that Stanford did accept, which is why I don't think it would be smart of me to change anything about it to improve it. Because, I mean, you can never know, honestly. It's such an uncertain thing, college admissions. I will never know why I didn't get into any single Ivy League and I only got waitlisted or I got rejected. I mean, if your application is good enough to get into Stanford, should it not be good enough to get into the other colleges as well? The point is, you never really know how your entire application season is going to go. So my advice is just
forget about it.
Forget about it. Paul, forget about it.
Sometimes it just means forget about it.
All right.
Meher Khosla says, this is one of my juniors, you're very competitive. That is correct. I am extremely competitive. If I play a board game with you, I want to win. Like, I'll always be nice. But you bet your ass if you're playing Monopoly with me and you land on my property, I will take your money with the most evil laugh. Laugh about how unfair capitalism can be sometimes, and then just win the game. But I also do just have really bad luck with Monopoly. You are actually a playboy, Ananya Sagepal. Well, I'm gonna answer this with Avanti's comment. Avanti Nagral says, you are a hopeless romantic. I'm the kind of person who used to write love letters, and not even at the age of 17 and 18, where it's mildly respectable but hugely embarrassing. I wrote it at the age of 13 or 12. In 6th grade, I wrote a love letter to the girl I liked. Her name was, actually, I'm not going to put it up here. You don't deserve the clout, but she's my best friend now. So I sent her a love letter in 6th grade. She saw it in front of her entire class. I asked my friend to keep an eye on her, just in class, not in a stalking kind of way, but in class, they were their desks were next to each other. So I was just see what she reacts, what her reaction is. So, and I was in a different class. So I sent this love letter, I put it in her desk in 6th grade. God knows what I was thinking. She opens up the love letter. My friend is just looking like this and he's just trying to figure out what she's going to do about it. She just reads it. Then she walks over to the dustbin, tears it up, tears my heart up along with it, and then just drops it inside. And then I was just when I heard about it, I was just okay, cool. She tore up a 6th grader's love letter and threw it into the dustbin. Can you believe it? Probably half of the spellings were wrong, but it really came from a special place. That's not my heart. Came from a really special place. But yeah, definitely a very big hopeless romantic. So yeah, to answer your previous question, whoever said I'm a playboy, I think it's fairly obvious I'm not. Like, I'm not smooth with anything in my life. It's Adi asks, you enjoy the grind. That is correct. I do enjoy the grind. I don't glorify it. I used to make the mistake of glorifying it in the past where I was like, if you put in 10 hours of work in a day, you become automatically cooler, you deserve more respect, or you just feel validated. I don't believe that anymore. But I would like to say that I enjoy the grind solely for the purpose that it's about what you're using that grind to do. Like for me, that grind is my YouTube channel, my company, and like other different aspects of my life. So if I'm doing things I really like doing, then obviously I like the grind because that just means I'm working on things I love doing. But yeah, that's my short but not short answer on that. I'm So Bored asks, would you come back to India after graduating? I think that's a great question because a lot of people think that like when I go to Stanford, like I'm just going to leave my country and never come back. I don't necessarily want to do that. Like, I feel like at some point in time, I would want to come back to India just because it's where I grew up. So, you know, even though this is like really far ahead in the future, I think I would like my kids to grow up in India because I don't know. I just feel like there are some values here that I've picked up that I wouldn't want them to miss out on just because we're living abroad. So yeah, I definitely would like to come back to India at some point in time. And hopefully Gurgaon. I love the city I'm in. It's just really nice. Ria says, you miss TSRS. So TSRS Aravali is my last school. I definitely miss school. I really miss school. Even because like, especially now that I'm on a gap year and because of COVID, like in school, you just get to meet all of your friends every single day. And I think like if you're in school right now, don't take that for granted. It's such a nice feeling to just be in that environment and you don't have to plan out life. Like on a gap year, I'm practically an adult by all means. Like I'm trying to earn money. I'm trying to, you know, explore my passions and nobody has given me a script for anything. Like I'm just figuring things out as I go along. And while that's nice, sometimes it can be extremely scary and extremely intimidating. So yeah, I would say the idea of school and the idea of just that bubble is very comforting sometimes. So I definitely do miss school. Jyotsna says, you seem like the kind of person to go for haunted houses for the thrill. Jyotsna, I'm sorry to disappoint you. That is absolutely not the case. I'd be so scared of a haunted house. I also cannot ride roller coasters. Like I almost throw up whenever I ride. I hate this about myself. If there's one thing I could change about myself, it's my ability to just go to an amusement park and have fun. But I'd go on like the kiddie roller coasters for like 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds and I'd want to get off. Like I just like my head starts spinning. I don't know what it is. I'm built different. What can I say? The Archie Tan says, as a fellow cinema lover, let me just ask, who is your favorite director? My favorite director is the director of La La Land as well as the director of Whiplash, who is Damien Chazelle. I think he is just, you know, a fascinating individual. And I think it's just because of the themes his movies touch. Like if you look at La La Land and Whiplash as movies, it's all about, you know, the potential of a human being and, you know, how much can they possibly do if they put everything into that one thing that they're doing. So in La La Land, the case is music. In Whiplash, the case is also music, like the drums. But I just think they're fascinating topics to try and wrestle with. Adi says, you only focus on work and your friends or relationships always take the back seat. I don't think that's necessarily true. For me, it's all about what you prioritize in life. So the only reason I work a good amount or like I don't stop working is because that's one of my priorities. I find meaning from the things that I'm doing and the things I'm spending my time on. And I feel the exact same way about my relationships. So even though I'm not the best at constantly texting my friends, like I won't be the person who like every single day will check up on all of my friends. I will make sure I try to stay in the loop with them. And even with my relationship, whether it's my family, whether it's a relationship I have, as long as it's my priority, I will take time out for them every single day without fail. Ahana asks, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? No sappy answers. Okay, Ahana, here's a sappy answer for you. I don't know, and I'm glad I don't know. What do I mean by that? So I think that like for me personally, one of the things I happen to like about life is the fact that it's uncertain and the fact that you don't know what's in your next month or in your next year. Like a lot of people can have plans. I'm not one of those people. And I think that's one of the reasons why a gap year worked out really well for me is because initially I was kind of hesitant about the whole idea of having an uncertain year. But I think after a period of time, I just really, really, really appreciated the fact that it's just a surprise. Everything is a surprise. My next year could be a surprise, 5 years could be a surprise, 10 years could be a surprise. And I think the idea that you know everything that's going to happen in your future can be very scary. And I wouldn't, for myself, I wouldn't want to know what's coming up for me, because that take the joy out of life. Like, I like the idea that things can be spontaneous and things can always change. So yeah, I definitely don't know where I'll be in 10 years, but I'm glad for that. But if I did have to choose something specific, I'd say I'd want to be an entrepreneur. I think that's definitely the career choice that I am gravitating towards in my gap year as well. Sabah says, you don't like to read classics, young adult fiction, or fantasy. Correct. I don't read a lot of fiction. I should, but I don't. It's just that I feel like and this applies to a lot of people, if you don't see the immediate value that something can give you, you're less likely to invest your time into it. So with non-fiction books, the value is very clear. If it's a business book, it's going to tell you about valuable tips to run your business. If it's a self-help book, it'll help you become a little more productive. But with fiction books, although your ability to learn lessons from them is far, far deeper and far stronger than a non-fiction book, just because of the story it wraps itself in. And, human beings are also born to listen and remember stories. So you're more likely to remember the lessons that a fictional book gives you. It's just that it's hidden in all of this text of like 300, 400, 500 pages. So that's why I've never taken the time out for it. But if any of you have a good fictional book that you'd like me to read, by all means, recommend them and I will take the time out for them. Ananya asks, what is one thing you dislike about being a content creator on YouTube? So there are a few things I dislike. YouTube has this ranking system where it will try and rank your videos against each other. So I'm going to put a screenshot of what that system looks like over here. But what it basically does is it says, okay, within the first 24 hours, your other videos got these many views and your current video is getting these many views. So it's created a system where creators compete against themselves and have to keep comparing their performance to their past or previous performances, which can be very taxing on your mental health and can just be a little toxic. Because, for example, if your channel was getting a lot of views 2 months back, but this month is not getting too many views, YouTube tells you you're just doing a bad job. And it might not even be in your control. People might just have different priorities in life and people might just tune out of your channel. But YouTube makes you feel like you're doing something wrong. And I think that can be a negative mindset. Obviously, as a creator over a period of time, you get over it, but it is still something that I think is ethically just a little gray, and I don't think it's the best thing in the world. It's really nice for YouTube because they are a company and they're trying to get their creators to work as hard as possible, so it makes sense from their end, but I don't think it's the best thing for a creator. Ananya also asks, you can't speak in Hindi. गलत, मैं हिंदी में बात कर सकता हूँ. I just don't speak in Hindi because I feel like a lot of my viewership also comes from outside of India, so I don't want them not to be able to watch the video just because I am speaking in Hindi. So yeah, but maybe I can do a few only Hindi vlogs and you will realize that even though I can speak in Hindi, it's really terrible. I am so bored.15 asks, what is the first thing you will do as Corona ends? I think when the virus ends, the first thing I want to do is travel. The biggest thing I wanted to do in my gap year was like travel to Italy. Like that was my dream gap year, just vacation, just going to Italy, spending a month over there, having the food, meeting new people. And because of COVID, I couldn't necessarily do that, which is fine. I'm way more well off than other people just because of, the background I come from. But I still would say that I really miss that whole traveling aspect. And I even managed to fund my trip. Like I wanted to pay for myself. I didn't want to depend on anybody else. So I managed to raise money for my trip, like by working, and I couldn't get to go. So yeah, hopefully I get to go to Italy, but it doesn't seem like it's happening today. Okay, now let's answer a few rapid fire questions. Number 1, what is the editing software you use? I use Adobe Premiere Pro. Mihir Vardhan asks, nudes. I'll be back in 30 seconds, guys. Arnav Jha asks, gay. Arnav, you're my friend. What are you doing? Why are you spreading these false facts? Mihir Jagtap asks, your father is a Stanford, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, UC Berkeley, USC, IIT Brown, UCLA alumnus. Incorrect. My father is not an alumni of any of those institutions. His undergraduate education is from NSIT, which is, University of Delhi Technology. And his postgraduate education is from the London School of Economics, where he received 100% scholarship to go and study from Tata. But yeah, guys, that was pretty much it for answering assumptions with Chaura Sinha at the 39,000 subscriber mark. I don't know why I chose now to do this, but I just thought it'd make for a fun video, and I thought that you guys would get to know me a little more, which is always a good thing. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.